Now we go to tonight sharing. This is actually the last chapter in human resource management, which is very interesting chapter. All this while we talk about big organization. All this while we talk about established organization. When we talk about human resource management, it seems that everything we refer to the established organization or big organization. But now for this chapter, we focus to the to the small organization. And just for you to understand what I'm referring to the small, you refer to the Maracau business, for example. Okay, or you refer to the business project by the communities in the case study that you are referring to. So this is the chapter we are actually looking at human resource practices on the aspect of small small business. Okay, so the big question I put there, what do you know about human resource management to running a small business, the small business challenges. So based on your common idea, based on your general idea lah, before we enter this chapter, yeah, I believe most of you, not all, most of you, didn't really, didn't aware, most of you didn't aware that one of the reasons why our small businesses are not sustained because they did not implement human resource practices. And I'm glad when I read some of actually all of your Maracau research project, you highlight these human resource practices. Even one of the group mentioned that until we solve the human resource problem issues, only then we can talk about what good for Maracau. That is a very good statement by one of the group. I like that statement. Okay, until we manage to solve the issue on human resource management, only then we come up with beautiful solution, beautiful varieties for Maracau. That is what I say, that is what I call critical thinking skill. Yeah. Okay, out of the blue, that is one of the example in the exam lah. I'm not exam. The final assessment. I don't want to say a test because you have open book and you have a case study provided by me. So it's not an exam or test either. It's more about testing your knowledge after going through my class and the assignment. Okay. Okay. Next. Okay. When we talk about human resource management, as I said earlier, this is the area whereby many small ventures or small business did not really pay attention to. Yeah. So why actually human resource management is important to small business? I'm trying to say that they should care about this human resource management. The reason is because this small business, actually, if you read the business in United States, yeah, for example, most of the European, most of the successful growth countries, even Korea, Japan, and so on, yeah, China, actually, small businesses is the one who contribute a lot to the GDP of the countries. Okay, in United States, for example, when we talk about the GDP of United States, actually it is contributed by small businesses, not by the giant corporation, not anymore. You know why? Because these small businesses, they are free to venture in new area and so on. Not like large scale corporation. They are restricted by bureaucracy of the politics bureaucracy of the social, bureaucracy of the economy. So, but for small business, they seem to be able to penetrate those bureaucracies. At the end of the day, the small business in the United States actually contribute a lot to the GDP of United States, contribution of to the economy. And it is also important for small businesses to understand that they actually create jobs. Just imagine, sorry, just imagine lah, Marakau, ya. Hamdan can offer works to those unemployed youth in the kampung. You see, he through the association lah, they can provide job. Just imagine these youth, they look for work, they don't find work and in the village, they suddenly have this opportunity, provided Marakau is successfully lah. But now is during their planning yet to see whether they are contributing or not. But the idea is, at the end of the day, they are going to provide works, easily provide works. They are job creator. Compared to large corporations, which are fixed by numbers of people to be recruited and so on, but small business, they are flexible. The third one, why human resource management is important for small business, because they are easy to establish. They are easy to establish. When we say they are easy to establish, that means it is easy lah. It's easy. So, but if they implement the human resource, it's going to be much more. The economy, the successful is achieved faster, and they grow faster. Yeah, they grow faster. In which, in small business, this is one of the reasons why in small business human resource practices were not that highly visible, because the entrepreneur, I mean the owner, the creator of the business, concentrate more on profit of the organization, productivity. So this is the but there is disadvantage of this lah. Yeah. So that is why SRM is important to small business. Yeah. And how does this small business is different from large business in terms of SRM? So the first one is the size. Usually small business, this is what being written from the book lah, and this book is referring to United States. So basically in the United States, if the employees is under 90, that is small business. Above 90, that is big business, large business. So the size of the small business, the numbers of employees are small. Secondly, this is how small business differ from large corporation. Secondly, much of the business daily activities or tasks or operation are informal, use informality, not so formal. Yeah. So when they deal informality, they can get rid of bureaucracy and so on, and they easily penetrate whatever strategy they want to use. Yeah? And then entrepreneur, the small business usually the established one actually owned by energetic entrepreneur, by talented entrepreneur. So this is what differentiate sustainability. This is what not differentiate. This is what we mean by sustained business. Sustained business for small business usually because the entrepreneur, the owner, the owner of the small business. If the owner of the small business is not dedicated in the business, then the business will not survive. And also how it different because of the priorities in which business realities, as I said in previous slide as well, they more focus on productivity. There is a reason why in small business priority on non-human resource. I mean, they concentrate more on productivity to the extent that what happens is in the small business sometimes they not only pay salary to the employees, they also ask the employees workers to contribute as the partners. Some of the reason why we look at the slide after this. Yeah. So these are some of the factors or some of the elements, sorry, that differentiate between small and large business. However, despite of all these wonderful news advantages of small entrepreneurs, there are implications actually. Because of this implication, why we want to say that it's better, it's time already for small business to start implement full human resource management practices. Okay, why? First, because of the legal risk. If you don't have a structured employees in your companies, it's going to be very difficult for you to, if you have dispute even with the employees or with the clients, you don't have a good structure of team members who are really well understand well the human resource practices. So if you don't have this kind of employees who undergone the basic training or the advanced training of particular human resource practices, you only have workers, but you don't have employees who can assist the company to ensure that no legal challenges to the companies. This is one of the implication there is. The second one is slow decision. Yeah, because it belongs to one person, the owner of the business. So this owner, it's up to him whether want to make decision today or tomorrow or next week. So there is no urgency because the employees are not structured well, so they cannot push the owner, the entrepreneur. So decisions seem to be quite late in small business. At the end of the day, it is about the mood of the entrepreneur or the owner. The third implication is paperwork. Okay, when let's say the small business want to expand their territories or they want to expand the business, so of course it's not as easy as simple as forming a business at first place. So they need to be able to not only understand the guideline, but also how to go about the procedures so that they can do the expansion and so on. So this needs human resource, and I'm referring to human resource information system, SRIS, because nowadays we have so many documents, procurements, and everything that needs to be handled through technology lah, computer and so on. So basically, we need people who are expert in related matters. But by contrast, for large corporation, large business, they really have professional doing it. Okay, and last one, competitive advantage. This, as I said earlier, the successful of the small business is actually depends on the entrepreneur, the owner. So if the owner is energetic owner, if the owner is good in decision making, that is okay. But if the owner is not that good, so the advantage to grow is not there. But if they have group of employees, yeah, technical things can be absorbed, and there is going to be create competitive advantage to the business. So these are the implications. So this book, actually, all the notes from this slide to the previous of the slides, actually, I took the ideas from the textbook lah. So at the end of the day, this chapter want to highlight actually when we have effective human resource practices practiced by the small business, there is going to be good productivity or positive outcome, positive performance. Otherwise, the small business will not sustain. And when we have effective human resource management, actually it is not about handling the organization alone. When we talk about human resource management, it is about how we taking care of the clients. Okay, how do we take care of our customers? So small business entrepreneurs should not look at human resource management as something that they can negotiate with, whether they want to establish human resource management practices, purely managed, purely practice, or they don't want. That is not the matter of that is not helping the small business. It's time already. Small business owner, entrepreneurs look at human resource management practices as a way of tackling and building a good relationship with the clients. Okay, so from this slide and previous, the notes I took from the textbook. Onward, okay, this is the case studies. This I already uploaded in Smart Trivia for this one. The case study is based on the article Managing Human Resources in Small Organization. What do we know? Written by research were done by Melissa Cadden and Christopher E. Stephen. This is in 2004, long time ago. Yeah, now we are 2020. 21 minus 04, 11, 7, 17 years. 17 years, eh? Betul kah 17 years? More or less lah. So, that time, maybe the idea is yet to easily assimilate by small business owner in their business. Maybe today they already assimilate. That one I haven't read the article yet, but based on my observation to the practical world, I'm looking at the Malaysian perspective. Yes, it's still not occurring like what this paper is suggesting. This paper suggesting that it is time for small business organization to really implement human resource management practices. All right. So far, so good. Can I continue, or you want to ask anything? Can I continue?
Yes, Doctor.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you. So, I hope you read the article, yeah? You read the article. It has 30 pages, I believe, 30 pages plus the references. Very good article. That article, I found about 5 or 6 years ago, and I still keep that article because that article, this article, really give insight on what actually causing small business not sustain in their business. So basically, if you happen to find this article before, this is a good article to discuss the Maracau problem and also to discuss the case studies. For those yet to submit the case studies, janganlah tiba-tiba kamu guna yang ini, sorry to my international student, don't suddenly you use this. But this article is actually a good article to debate problem in Maracau, for example, yeah, and the case studies. Okay, okay. So this article talk about how in small business, yeah, small business nowadays, they don't have proper recruitment. When they need workers, they just they don't advertise. Their friend tell them, "Hey, my son has no work. Can you take him to your aunt?" This is what we call word of mouth. Friend, kawan. And then this is in which the recruitment aspect in small business is not done properly. That contribute to the problem with sustainability of the small business. When they don't recruit well, they don't have the proper training. And training for small business is only about they want to have training which is not directly related to the business. One example is, for example, there is a case, yeah, there is a case in which an employees, workers of small business, ask the owner, the entrepreneur, that he want to take one course, one training, which is not related to their business, but he is saying that because in the future we better invest in that business. You see, so this is one of the cases whereby training in small business actually most of the time is based on if we if we successful in this business, why not we venture in another business? So before we venture in another business, why not I go for the training on that business? So not realistic. They are not solving the current business. They are not solving the issues in hand. So this is some of the cases in small business. And of course, if you can visualize, there is no performance appraisal. There's no performance appraisal. The problem when you don't appraise performance, you will not be able to compensate the workers. You see, so that's why the reason why in small business there is no salary increment because they did not really practice performance appraisal. When the system is there, when we have this performance appraisal system, then we have the rewards compensation. You see, so one of the second reason, and this go to the third one, the one compensation and rewards. When we rewards, this means something is happening to the organization, organizational change. As I use organizational change, yeah, and of course, in small business, they don't have labor association because this is practiced by big organization. But actually, it's worth trying to have a union. Union, for example, for small business. This have not been done yet, but what is the ideas of having union? The idea is to make sure the workers' welfare are really taken care of. When the employees, the workers' welfare well taken off, at the end of the day, it will enhance the growth of the business itself. So these are what actually this article is trying to highlight. The reason why it's time for small business to pay particular attention on the small human resource management setting in small businesses. Okay, so going back to this small business here, some small business. Most of the small businesses, they are run by, as I said earlier, energetic owner and so on. Yeah, energetic owner and so on. So they have visionary leaders, for example, most of the successful small business. And sometimes they have a good owner who has the good PR. Good PR. I'm talking about the owner, not yet the workers. And then the owner may be also technologically expert in handling things. So everything is about the owner, and yet to discuss about the employees or the workers. But at the end of the day, the owner is not the one who serve the customer. The owner is not the one who to do so many tasks related to the business. The owner at the end of the day, sitting at the counters, for example, counting how many how many customers, how many clients they have in a day, for example, how many products being sold, and so on. So at the end of the day, it is about the workers, the employees. So that's why when we talk about the competitiveness of any organization, the small business need to realize it's important to concentrate on the employees' human resource practices. So because when we have taken care of this human resource of the employees, actually many things can be learned, can be easily updated when we talk about human resource practices in the small business, because it is like direct or easy to study on the real implementation of the human resource practices to a small group of employees. So if we can practice the human resource management among this small group of employees, it still can easily correct it if there is some grouses when the employees are pointing out at the end of the day. So at the end of the day, these findings can assist in enhancing the performance of human resource practices, and also human capital in new venture has been recognized as critical to venture success for some time. And also, it is found that it is not really about the owner, the entrepreneur, but also the employees, or what we call the human capital. So the idea is that it is about time to make sure that small business really practice human resource management practices. And based on studies being done by in previous studies, when I talk about previous study, previous than 2004 lah, and I believe until today, these things are yet to being materialized. Still problem, still small business not really practicing the human resource. Yeah? And always study about the founder, the entrepreneur, the owner. Yet to limited study on the employees, in which many studies talk about the founders who leadership, the founder leadership. Founder has good leadership, then the business will successfully sustain, or otherwise. It's all about the founder. And study the founder's self-efficacy, the founder perseverance, the founder risk-taking ability, and the founder role transition. Very limited studies on the employee's part. So this is what happened before. And because of that, and no information on the characteristic of other employees in new venture. It's always about the founders. And new ventures, when we talk about the new ventures, is the new business being set up. A difference on the management of people. This statement referring to that when entrepreneur open the business, they fail to suit these workers, these employees, to their long-term development of the human resource practices. in which they didn't care about the human resource. They only care about how using this human resource they will produce. They will bring productivity to the organization. Rarely, when we talk about when the new ventures being set up, the things that we need to think of is human resource. Rarely they think about it. When the new ventures take up, they think how to create profit. They seem to skip the important part of productivity, which is the employees, the workers. Yeah. So, and this new ventures more difficult to recruit employees. Difficult to recruit employees. Lack formal human resource policies or system. Indirectly, I discussed this indirectly already. Yeah? Liabilities leave new venture with fewer resources and greater challenge. This means that because of their small capital, so they don't have big capital, so they don't have, they always have liabilities, greater challenges, and small firm already established remain small firm. Okay, the point number 4, this one is quite interesting. If I ask you to elaborate this further, my point is like this. Yeah, when we talk about small business, what is the end of small business? Okay, be careful in answering this question. When we talk about small business, we cannot say they want to venture into large business. No. When they small business, they maintain small business. That is their journey. The journey is small business. At the end of the day, still small business. But the things that show the ideas of small business is gaining the profit. Gaining the profit. Small business, if the profit is like this, it's not going to be static profit. Then they will not sustain. Still small, but when they come to the end of the journey, for example, their profit is going up, but still maintain small. Small doesn't mean they want to become a large business. That one is another phase of entrepreneurship. Yeah, entrepreneurship. So we want to make sure that they still maintain with below 90 numbers if United States, for example, case. But the idea is maybe the salaries of the workers. But the problem is they don't have this SR practices. So how do we compensate if we don't do the performance appraisal? So maybe not only because of the profit gaining, but also if they can increase the salary, is also consider the growth of small business. Yeah, this is the key question. So basically, the article that I'm referring to is actually a research by Carden and Stephen 2004, in which the research is actually discuss about human resource, how employees being managed in a small business, in which the human resource practices were not that done. Okay, and then the article also want to point out about what else that these small ventures need to think about in order for them to sustain in the business. So that is the article all about. And in the article also, in the content of the article, it talks about two types of ventures. Venture ni ialah perniagaan. Venture is the business. Yeah. So venture, V-E-N-T-U-R-E, venture. So ventures, or in United States, they use the word firm. Okay, firm. The new firm, actually small business firm, there are two types of small business firm that we can evaluate. First, the size. the size is small. Second, the duration in business. Is it a new business or is it established business, for example? So basically there are two types of liabilities. These are the liabilities of small business, in which it could be small, and when it is a small business, the capital is small. And if the capital is small, they cannot compete with the large corporation which provide the same business, for example. So at the end of the day, the small business has to do collaborate with the large business by taking care the distribution part of product, for example. The newness, the new established or established already long in the market, in the business. And the challenges for smallness, the lack of resources, I mentioned about capital. For newness, they enter industry whereby already established, but they are the newcomers. So these are the challenges. For solution, for small, they have to form alliances with other small business already exist in the market in order for them to survive. And for the new, they must find ways to gain, as I said, they have to collaborate with successful small business or large corporation, and they have to act as the distributor in the outside of the main town, for example, yeah. And then, and however, there are issues on this smallness and newness. For the smallness, issues are resources are likely to be scarce. There may be a very small number of formal human resource department of professional. Increased difficulty. Basically, the problem is when we are small ventures, so very difficult to really form human resource practices. Because, for example, how can you create departments in small business if your overall members is only 10, for example? So one taking care the departments, so it's not possible. So that is one of the issues for small business. And for new business, because of the experience, and no experience at all. So in this article, it creates this framework, theoretical framework. Okay. Before I forget, in your case study, basically, you have to identify what is the framework. I noticed you even though I asked introduction, issues, solution, suggestion, and so on, but it's good to point out the framework in article, because theoretical framework is the driver of any research. Without theoretical framework or theory, it's like a lorry without a driver, a car without a driver. That's why when you do research later on for your dissertation, you have to well versed with theory, because in research there must be a theory. Without theory, as I said, it's like a car, a lorry, aeroplane, okay, car, yeah. Without the driver, you are not going anywhere. So basically, in your case studies, I expect, even though I'm not mentioning it, if there is a theory in the article that you review, you better point it out in the case studies. Yeah. Okay. So this article talk about the smallness of the business and also the newness, the firm stage, the newness, newcomers, and so on. And human resource system practices being promoted by in the studies. There are 6: staffing, compensation, training and development, performance management, organizational change, and labor relations. These are the 6 human resource practices need to be implemented by small business in order for the small business to be sustained in their business. Okay. And in order to implement, the reason why implement these practices so that the company can overcome the challenges. For example, create the identity, the niche of the business, have the right skills and capability of employees, gain popularity, gain recognition, legitimacy, being flexible. Flexible means they can penetrate varieties of products. They can penetrate the market if they have good human resource system and practices. And also the most important thing is sustain. At the end of the day, it's going to be effective small business. Okay, the article also talk about recruiting. Recruiting. So in recruiting, okay, we already have 1 hour. Never mind, I just continue a bit more. Recruiting. So in recruiting, these are 1, 2, 3, the left one, due to limited financial lack of legitimate employee. Okay, these are the three things that occurred in small business. Yeah, in which, for example, number 3, it's common to see in small business one worker do so many tasks, no concentration. There is a worker who do the marketing, there is a worker who do the monitoring, there is a worker do the labeling and so on. So these are the example of small business. So how do we effectively recover this is by adopting recruiting practices, use common recruitment practices, and attending job fairs. Attending job fairs here mean that you need to recruit the right people lah. No longer word of mouth, no longer friend or kawan-kawan. So informal recruiting and staffing done by informal. This is the findings lah. Lack of qualified employees. Okay. And then employees with multiple roles, okay, no concentration. And lastly, recruiting additional employees ad hoc. For example, as I said, just now I used the ideas of going for training with the assumption that the current business can enter another business, which is not practical. You are yet to establish the current business, you already plan for future business. So this is what we call ad hoc as well. And then about compensation, this article also talk about compensation. I would like to refer your attention on the payment of each worker. This is the area in which actually, in order for us to motivate the employees, we need to know how to do the pay structures. At the end of the day, employees work for salary. So they don't want to have stagnant salary. So for small business, they fail on this. Okay, they fail on this. If I ask you all a question, multiple choice, which are the total failure of small business? The answer could be on the fare structure, for example, salary. So the rest is also being discussed by the authors of this article. And then the training. Okay, the training. The article talk about the formal training. What is actually formal training in the sense of small business? Is due to the needs of the business, or is it because the employees want to have the training, which is not related to the business at all? For example, and hands-on, highly interactive learning opportunities, socialization for newcomers, multitasking and role transition. So the writers, Stevens, siapa tadi tu, and Stevens, they discuss about how training was conducted in small business. Okay, and then how they and out of and compared to the earlier three human resource practices, the following three practices were not established, were not found in the small business, which is on the performance management. Of course, there is no performance management in small business. Organizational change is not occurring. There is no long-term strategy, always short-term. And also labor relation, I'm talking about union because of the numbers or maybe because of the flex the reason why there should be a union. This is not being talked much by literatures lah. Union in the small business. Union is always related to corporation and big business. And what do we know about managing employees in new ventures? From that article, so retention and ongoing employees issues. So this is not a small business, it's lack of dealing with retention issues. Yeah, it seems that the workers, the employees can come in, can go out anytime they wish because there is no policy, no proper policies. So at the end of the day, when you talk about sustainability, you need to have planning. And when you have planning, you need to have people who will fulfill the requirement to make sure the planning is well done. So, but since the employees are not glued to the position, they can leave the company. So difficult. So retention is an ongoing employees issues. Integration and interaction of human resource practices. Of course lah, there is no human resource practices. So integration from recruitment, interview. In fact, the job analysis were not well done. So how you can integrate from one step to another step at the end of the day is very difficult. So it jeopardizes the sustain of the ventures of business. Evolution of human resource practices. Okay, this one, as I said, when we talk about small business, success doesn't mean they change to less business. No. If they are small, they maintain small. But how is the income? Is there increase in income or not? So this is because of this, there is no, in the eyes of small business, they don't see the importance of having human resource practices. This is me. This morning, I got vaccinated at last. Yeah, for those who haven't got vaccinated, make sure you register with my Sejahtera. For my international student, I believe your countries you already vaccinated in your countries. Look at me, one thumb up. This morning at 9 o'clock, and only at 10 o'clock and not 10 o'clock, 9:35, I was injected. Look at the small piece of paper there. Tekanan darah. Wow. That is my tekanan darah. Are you still there, student?
Yeah, doctor.
Okay.
Yes, doctor.
Today
Okay, this
UMS become PPB.
Yeah, betul. This morning. So yeah.
So UMS, normal people can go to UMS.
Yeah. Public. We open for public just for
Oh, I
today.
see.
Just for today.
Oh, just for today.
No. Today only for our management.
All right.
Only for me. Our VC, Vice Chancellor today. VC is the first receiving this vaccine. Yeah. I got what is the name? Not Pfizer, Sinovac. I got Sinovac. But before we talk about vaccine, look at my blood pressure there. 170, 101. Too high, right? It took two machines by the doctors to check my blood pressure. So the first count is 171 below 100. The second count 1 174, below is 101, and the third count is 1070. So this is, so meaning to say I have blood pressure which is very high, yeah. But basically, I actually has have gout, gout, huh? But I am not get gout lah, very routine, because I take some medicine. But before I go to this, we do it in our lecture hall. My blood pressure is okay. I want to discuss with you about white coat syndrome. White coat syndrome. It's happened to be me. I'm actually have white coat syndrome. When I see hospital, I'm nervous. When I see accident, I'm nervous. My BP will rise up. And when I see white coat is actually we referring to the doctor wearing the white dress, yeah. So I'm having the white coat syndrome actually. So, and because of that, I know myself already. So I said to the doctor, "No worry, doctor, I'm okay because my blood pressure is high because I have this white coat syndrome." So basically, what I try to relate here to our study is that small business they actually has white coat syndrome. They because they want to remain small, so they're afraid when they go to large, when they implement human resource practices, it's going to not to fully integrate with the setup of their business. So basically, the small business they have this white coat syndrome. So that's why I use this example. How I explain it is very difficult, but I believe many small business entrepreneur they have this white coat syndrome. That is the reason why they don't want to practice proper human resource practices. So actually, being vaccinated, I doesn't feel any pain. Sakit lagi semutan, gigitan semut merah daripada jarum, ya. Actually, I was interviewed by RTM. Later I share with you all. I was interviewed by RTM. RTM came to this our vaccinated this morning. So I was interviewed by RTM. I said in the interview, actually more or less, but they don't capture this part. I said to the RTM, actually people are not afraid of vaccine. People are actually afraid of the needle. That is the first thing. Actually, people in general, some of them afraid of the needle. Not really about the vaccine. Vaccine only very small, very minorities. But people overall, they afraid of the needle. And when I got injected this morning, I doesn't feel any pain. I even asked the nurse, this nurse, "Sudahkah? Already?" I'm not, I think I thought she is not injected me, but already. So no pain at all. So I'm trying to say that actually nowadays we have this very small group anti-vaccine. Actually, they just don't pay attention on them lah. Yeah, it's having vaccine is like you having the shield in your for your body. Yeah, and when you have shield for your body, you have shield for your family. So this is my slide. The idea is that some founders did not really practice the saying, "People are the ultimate source of competitive advantage in my business." Most of the founders think because of them, the business is success, not because of their employees. That is the reason why they don't want to practice the human resource practices in the business. So it is a high time already for small business to stay competitive, look at the developing countries. The small business is actually the one who contributes to the growth of the economy, because the big sectors, they're already static, they're already stagnant. They can produce this output this much, But small business, they can contribute more than that. They are flexible. And in order to do that, what the small business in developing country, that they have this, practicing the real human resource practices, not like in our country. This is my opinion lah. With that, I conclude my sharing, and that's all for tonight. So I hope everyone gets some ideas of how actually managing human resource in small ventures had been done so far. Yeah. So that's all. Okay. Semua okay kah?
Yeah,
So-
Doctor.
Okay.
Okay,
So
thank you.
yeah, I think I don't want to extend the hours. We better stop here. So pay attention on today's lecture. Yeah. I'm not giving you a tips. I'm giving you an ideas what the test is going to be. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. That's all.
Doctor, the recording where Doctor share?
Okay. I will share afterward. I will share as usual. I will share. No worry.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I will upload it in YouTube first. Then I will give the link. Yeah.
Thank you, Doctor.
All right. Okay. Bye.
Thank you, Doctor. Bye.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you, Doctor.